Today's scripture reading is taken from 1 Kings, chapter 19, verses 1 to 18. You may be wondering what has happened in the interim between Solomon building his temple and all of a sudden we're now picking up with King Ahab and Jezebel and the prophet Elijah. Now, following the reign of Solomon, there was a bad political move by Solomon's son, who decided to listen to the young bucks instead of the wizened council. And that bad call led to the division of Israel into the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah. And the subsequent political, socioeconomic upheaval that lasted until we arrive at, and I mean, it's technically still going on, but our story takes place with a new king, King Ahab, who has married a princess from another kingdom, Jezebel, who has brought with her the practice of Baal worship, which is something that the Israelites have been straddling. They've been having one foot in Judaism and one foot in the worship of Baal. And leading up to this portion of the story, Elijah, God's prophet, decides to challenge the prophets of Baal to a God-off, wherein they construct altars, they prepare the sacrificial bulls for the altars, and Elijah says, right, you call on your God, and you're not allowed to light your burnt offering. Your God has to light the burnt offering. And so the prophets of Baal spend all morning doing it. And Elijah says, okay, well, you've got till midday. And so they keep going, and then it keeps going through the afternoon, long past the appropriate hour of sacrificing time. And then Elijah has to put his money where his mouth is, and so he stands up, and he goes the extra mile of dousing everything with water, digging a trench around the altar and filling that with water. And he calls on the Lord, the God of Israel, and tongues of fire shoot down from the heavens and devour the animal, the wood, and lick up even the water of the trench. And so this kind of proves the prophets of Baal wrong. And so Elijah kills them all. And that's where we start our story. Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah saying, "So may the gods do to me and more also if I do not make your life like the life of one of them by this time tomorrow." Then he was afraid. He got up and fled for his life and came to Beersheba, which belonged to Judah. He left his servant there, but he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a solitary broom tree. He asked that he might die. "It is enough now, O Lord. Take away my life, for I am no better than my ancestors." Then he lay down under the broom tree and fell asleep. Suddenly, an angel touched him and said to him, "Get up and eat." He looked, and there was at his head a cake baked on hot stones and a jar of water. He ate and drank and lay down again. The angel of the Lord came a second time, touched him, and said, "Get up and eat. Otherwise, the journey will be too much for you." He got up and ate and drank, and then went in the strength of the food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the Mount of God. At that place he came to a cave and spent the night there. Then the word of the Lord came to him, saying, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He answered, "I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the Israelites have forsaken your covenant and thrown down your altars and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they are seeking my life to take it away." He said, "Go out, stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Now there was a great wind, so strong that it was splitting mountains and breaking rocks into pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire sound, a sound of sheer silence. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. Then there came a voice to him that said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He answered, "I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. For the Israelites have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they are seeking my life to take it away." Then the Lord said to him, "Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus. When you arrive, you shall anoint Hazael as king over Aram. Also you shall anoint Jehu, son of Nimshi, as king over Israel. And you shall anoint Elisha, son of Shaphat, and Abel-Meholah, as prophet in your place. Whoever escapes from the sword of Hazael, Jehu shall kill. And whoever escapes from the sword of Jehu, Elisha shall kill. Yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him." This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.